President-elect Trump is stacking his team, and he's tapped two men known for taking a very hard line on immigration. Border enforcement has been one of the key issues of the Trump campaign, and the president-elect has tapped the former director of ICE, Tom Holland, to serve as the border czar. We also know that Stephen Miller, his top immigration advisor, will serve as Trump's deputy chief of staff for policy. Miller is expected to work closely with Holman to oversee planned deportations. Earlier, I had a chance to speak with Lanhee Chen, public policy expert, Hoover Institute fellow at Stanford University, about the new hirings and whether there will be challenges winning support for any plans involving mass deportations.
Well, I think part of the question is going to be how they're executed, what the focus will be at various points. For example, the administration, not the administration rather, but the Trump campaign has talked about focusing those deportations initially on folks with criminal records. And I think that's something that, for example, could garner much more public support than a general effort to engage in mass deportation of illegal immigrants. So I think this is something we're going to have to see how the proposal plays out, how the agenda is implemented. But remember, one of the two issues that Trump was elected on, one was the economy, the second was the border. So he's starting clearly with an area that he finds to be both a policy and political imperative.
And during his first term, only a handful of people that Trump selected for his cabinet were still with him at the end. So what did he learn about his first go-around, and who's helping influence his hiring decision for this second term?
Well, not unusual for cabinet secretaries and senior appointees to not last through the entirety of administration. They're grueling jobs. There's a lot of demands placed on senior leadership in these agencies. This time around, some of this is going to be people who have been around the president-elect, who he trusts, people who he believes are part of an inner circle. And then there will be others, he's getting advice from all sorts of people. His family is advising him. Some people in the private sector, like Howard Lutnick, the chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, who's very involved in personnel on the transition side, he's advising him. So it's going to be the combination, I think, of people who have been with the president-elect all the way around, all the way since his first campaign, probably through his first administration, as well as perhaps some folks who come recommended through the various people who are advising him on personnel.
And of course, with Kamala Harris losing, Democrats will need to find another candidate to run in 2028. Does this open the door for Governor Gavin Newsom and his presidential aspirations, and what kind of hurdles might he face?
Well, it clearly does. There's no obvious front runner for the Democratic nomination in 2028. The next presidential campaign starts the minute the last one ends. And so it's not surprising to see the governor already making some overtures toward that. Now, it is going to be interesting to see how he overcomes the sense that he is a California progressive. I think that's one of the issues that, quite frankly, doomed Vice President Harris's campaign. It was one of the issues around why it was that she wasn't able to do better, particularly in some of these Midwestern swing states. So he's going to have to build a slightly different profile for himself. He's going to have to be out there on a set of issues that speaks to working class Americans, speaks to those Americans who supported Donald Trump. But no question that he has an opportunity, given that there is no clear front runner and the field's wide open.